organizers for inviting me out to speak. I have to say that I commend the youth for standing up and speaking about those things that are important to them. Today I am here to speak about something that rarely gets this platform, and that is gun violence in the African American and Latino communities. While we must acknowledge the fact that we are having mass shootings in schools and it is unacceptable, we also need to start to begin to address the killings that are occurring every single day in this country in the Black and brown communities. Yes. African Americans and Latinos feel left out of the gun debate. Oftentimes, we are perceived to be more criminal by nature. Therefore, when things happen to us in our communities, we are not given the same platforms. We are not allowed the same voice. There was a national school walkout where students of color desired to send a message that gun violence is not just happening in schools of affluent communities, it's also affecting Black and brown children every day. These children feel diminished and unrepresented because their stories are not being shared. Race cannot be ignored anymore as playing a major role in how the media and politicians choose to respond. At Booker T. Washington High School in Atlanta, students were not allowed to walk out. So instead, they paid homage to Colin Kaepernick and they took a knee. These children in these Black and brown communities, the issues of gun violence are oftentimes looked at as issues of self-control. We are not addressing the social, the economics. We are not looking at the disenfranchisement of the people in these communities. We are not addressing the mental health issues that are running rampant. We are not addressing the fact that these communities are underserved and underrepresented. We are not looking at the damaging psychological impact that living in a gun culture is producing. When you go into some of these stores in these communities, you can find little pop guns. You can find all types of gun culture paraphernalia, we'll say, that induces this mentality that it's okay. We have become so desensitized as a country that we have video games that children can point and shoot at 2, 3, 4, 5 years old and not understand the true repercussions of what it means to fire a bullet into another human being's body. What we are dealing with here is not just gun violence. We are dealing with a mental health crisis. We are dealing with mental health needs to be looked at as a human right, just as our right to bear arms. Don't get me mistaken. I am not saying that we should not bear arms, because I, for one, want to be able to keep my guns, but I want to be able to keep them out of the hands of those who are irresponsible with them. I think that it is unfair for us to have a conversation about gun violence and not address mental health. Because there's not one shooting that I have seen yet that the issue of the shooter having mental health issues has not been brought to the forefront of the argument. In the African American community, there's oftentimes the argument, why is it that we are gunned down in our communities, but those in affluent white communities who go out and commit mass shootings are afforded a different level of respect. They are taken into custody peacefully, while Stephon Clark is shot dead in his grandmother's backyard from holding a cell phone. 3D guns are a serious problem for our humanity. We cannot allow them on our streets. The mere thought that someone could sit at home, print a gun from anywhere in the country is frightening. This is not just an American soil problem. If we allow 3D guns, what does that say about us as humanity? Does that say that we care more about our rights to bear guns than we do about the psychological impact that we are having on humanity? I think that it is time that we really begin to look at some of the things that are happening in these communities. I, for one, am standing here today, and I commend every single person that is out here, every person that is uniting right now throughout the country, who is standing and saying, no more. But what I would like to say is that there needs to be a conversation. There needs to be an open, honest, transparent conversation about what is happening in the African American and Latino communities. Because every single day, last week my 21-year-old niece was gunned down in Oakland. Didn't make it to the news. She was the third child. 2 of her brothers died before her. This is the third child that my sister will bury. There's only 3 left. I have lost Keontae, Nario, Najan, Elise. The list goes on and on and on. And while I stand and I speak about the injustices of police brutality in our communities, I cannot stand another day and be hypocritical and not speak about the gun violence that is happening in our inner cities, in our multicultural communities. Things have got to change. And in order to do that, we have to get to a place where we can have those open, honest discussions. We in the African American and Latino communities feel disenfranchised. I am so grateful that this conversation has come about. I am so grateful that you children have said enough. I am so glad that you children have stood up and that you are demanding action. And I want to let you know that I will stand with you any day of the week, and I will fight for you because you all are the future. You all are the ones that we have to protect, and you all are the ones that can make this change. But I ask you, as the generation that you are, to continue to be inclusive of your peers in the African American and Latino community, because they are hurting and dying at a disproportionate number. Thank you. Woo!